I'd like to welcome Grover Snyder tonight to talk a little bit about the Oley Fair or what he remembers. Grover was born and raised in the Oley Valley and a lifelong resident and lifelong farmer in the Oley Valley. So welcome, Grover, and thank you.
Thank you.
So Grover, we're going to start out by talking a little bit about you were actually born on one of the days of the fair in 1949, but then in 1966 at the Oley Fair, something very special happened to you.
I met my wife here at the Oley Fair at that time. We started dating right after the Oley Fair, and it lasted for 51 years and 7 months and 6 days. So the Oley Fair did me good there.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And then your involvement with the fair when you were younger was what?
Well, I'd helped to set the tents up because I remember all those stakes you had to pound in with the sledgehammer and set all those tents up, and it was a lot of work back then.
Okay. And a couple funny stories that you had mentioned. One of them being Tommy Eshelman ran for judge in one of the years that you were involved with the fair. So just a little bit about that.
My dad was a distant cousin to Tommy Eshelman. Tommy Eshelman never bothered much with us, but he called up one day. He said, "Would you take me to the Oley Fair and meet the good people of the Oley Fair?" So my dad took Tommy Eshelman over here to the fair and took him around and showed him off to everybody. And the first thing Monday morning was a salesman stopped in, and that was the first thing he smiled, laughed from the time he came till the time he left. He talked about my dad being a politician at the Oley Fair. So that was something that we talked about for a long time.
Great. Our good friend Carl Herbine was very involved in the fair and also a farmer in his younger years. And you had a little bit of a funny story about some friendly competition with Carl.
Well, the first year that we showed the animals, this was on the other side of where the school grounds is now. I showed a little calf, and Carl said to me, he says, "You're never going to win nothing with that because you feed it corn cobs." And I argued with, "No, I feed it regular grain." And we argued back and forth, and I got so depressed. I went to my mom and cried to my mom about it. She says, "Oh, you don't listen to Carl Herbine. He's full of wind." So I went and showed it, and I got a red ribbon, and I went and showed this to Carl. And Carl was just laughed so bad. He says, "If you wouldn't have fed it corn cobs, you would have got a blue ribbon." But I found out later on that's how Carl Herbine was. He kidded around with everybody. And I even said to him years later about this. He just laughed. He says, "I don't remember that," but he knew what I meant when I talked to him about that.
Great. And another funny story that you had told me is when you were a senior in class and working for at the cake and cider stand at the fair. You enjoyed the cider so much that you and a bunch of buddies...
Well, at that time, they had them in gallon jugs, and we each got gallon jugs, and we went on the other side of the school grounds there, and we're sitting there and drinking the cider like the hillbillies, and just like that, one kid said, "My stomach don't feel so good," and another one said, "My stomach don't feel so good," so the one could go down in the Oley, and the other sat here in the bathroom, had the stalls all clogged up, and nobody else could go in for the rest of the afternoon.
So, Grover, in 2020, as we all know, we went through COVID and we had to make the unfortunate decision to cancel the fair that year. But you, having a farm and having a family that really loved the Oley Fair, you did something very special on that Saturday of what would have been normally the Oley Fair. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we had a get-together there in June, end of June or something like that. And it was right at the time that the Oley Fair was canceled. My youngest daughter, Jess, said, "We ought to have an Oley Fair." Well, everybody else said, "We should have an Oley Fair." Well, the next morning I went in there, and she was making all these plans and this and that. And then on the Saturday, but what should have been the Oley Fair, we had what we called the Snyder Fair. And we had the bale throwing contest like the Oley Fair. We had the donut eating contests and baking contests and pumpkin decorating contests. And we had fair food there because we didn't have no French fries. Nobody wanted to make the French fries, but we had hot dogs and hamburgers and pastry and all that there stuff, just like the Oley Fair did. So that was pretty amazing there.
Sounded like a fun time.
And the thing of it is, we had all these prizes, and we took blue ribbons from the Oley Fair, and we caught it, blocked off the top, and we put the Snyder Fair there. So we used the ribbons from the Oley Fair and for first, second, and third place, and that we still have them yet.
Great. That'll be a memory that'll last a long time with your family. So Grover, any special memories of the Oley Fair? Anything that really sticks in your mind that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I met my wife here at the Oley Fair, and that's probably one of the biggest. But there's a lot of memories that you could say about it, because you come to the Oley Fair and you meet people that you haven't seen for years, and it was like a big class reunion. I think the Oley Fair was always, and it still is yet.
Great. Well, Grover, thank you, and thank you for your dedication to the fair.
Okay, thank you.